All right, hello everybody. My name is Cole Jackson, and I am doing my presentation on um, why students are not participating as much as they should in physical education. So let's get it started. First of all, the issue here that is being addressed is the fact that every year that goes by, the number of kids that are simply refusing to participate in PE is getting higher. Um, Students go to PE, and they don't want to do anything. They'll do the bare minimum to get by. Some of them do absolutely nothing, and they're taking zeros for their participation grade, and they're okay with it. They don't care. Um, and I've seen on numerous occasions that students are so unwilling to participate in any sort of physical activity that they otherwise a great student will kind of get defiant and get into it with a teacher and end up getting disciplined and in trouble. And it's a huge issue. Of course, you got your students like the athletes that continue to get after it every day in PE. They love it. But the number of students that are unenthusiastic about moving around in front of others is it's getting higher and higher a year. And this past year, being a PE teacher myself, it was definitely a concern that all of us PE teachers that, my coworkers, we were definitely trying to address throughout the year. And it seemed like it got worse as the school year went on. So it's causing behavioral issues. It's causing poor grades and what should otherwise be a fun and easy class to pass. As you can see from the research here, a large number of students, they're not doing their recommended daily exercises, and they're not achieving any of the health benefits related to that. It is recommended that you get up and move at least 60 minutes a day. You can knock a lot of those 60 minutes out in physical education, in PE class, but unfortunately kids just have no desire to move, and they don't seem to care about these health benefits. Research also shows that most of these students know the health benefits. They're aware of what exercise can do for you. They still would rather not. They kind of just put those concerns on the back burner and don't want to participate still. So despite all their knowledge of these health benefits, they're just choosing not to. They like to be comfortable. They want to do they wish to engage in a sedentary lifestyle, which means little to no movement. So that's the issue here. How do we get kids to participate? What's causing them not to participate? What's the deal here? So that's what I engaged in when I was conducting my research. Why is this an issue? I kind of already mentioned it on the previous slide, but students are failing PE. When I was in school, I loved PE. Granted, I love sports. I love physical activity, but it seemed like an easy class. Most people seemed to like it. A lot of people participated. The games we played were fun. And now it just doesn't always seem like that. And what should be like the easiest grade you get in school, show up, get dressed, participate, get 100, students are now failing because of this. And it's causing behavioral issues. Students who are great in any other classroom environment get to PE and all of a sudden they're a behavioral issue because they don't want to do anything. Teacher gets onto them, they get defiant, and it leads to a huge confrontation. So kids are getting in trouble more often because of this. And then lastly, it's the maybe the biggest reason is the unhealthy consequences you get from living a sedentary lifestyle. I mentioned a couple here on my slide. You got higher risk of obesity, a higher risk of diabetes, heart disease, even poor mental health. I could list 100 more things here. At the end of the day, your quality of life and your personal health is increased in nearly every way if you if you exercise. And the research that we have, it proves this point time and time again. Being active improves your lifestyle and improves your health. So when I was conducting my research, I came across numerous themes that I wanted to address here. And these themes are basically showing you what is keeping kids from participating? What are their reasons? And then later on in the presentation, I'm going to address how we can try and fix that. The first reason I found through my research as to why students are not participating is incompetence. And I listed some of the research here. But basically, if kids do not feel competent in their ability to engage in a physical activity, they are going to choose not to engage in that physical activity. For example, me personally, I'm terrible at golf. I like to consider myself, a well-rounded person when it comes to playing different sports. But if you give me a golf club, I don't know what to do with it. I don't really have fun playing golf because I'm not good at it. So I rarely ever golf. It's the same in PE. If a kid is not good at basketball and it's a basketball lesson, they're probably not going to do much. If a kid hates to run and they don't have great cardio endurance and they're going to get a poor mile time, but it's time to run the mile, they're either going to walk it or they're just going to refuse to do it. So if a kid is able to feel confident in their ability, they're more likely to do it. The research here shows that students, for the most part, they have a good sense of whether or not they're good at something. Most of us know if we stink at something, if you will. And we probably don't like to do things we're not good at. It takes a lot of hard work to improve that and improve that skill and to start to learn and enjoy it. But most of us don't want to go through that hard work. And because of this, we tend to do things that we are good at, right? And it's the same in PE. So their perceived confidence and their perceived level of talent heavily influences whether or not they're actually going to engage in the activity. The next theme I found, I titled it socialization or grouping. So PE is kind of it's a different environment than your typical classroom. It's usually a large number of students, a lot's going on, a lot of movement, and it can get pretty loud. But PE is kind of a sociable environment. I know sometimes in the classroom we need kids to be quiet and do some individual work, but PE is not always like that. And at the end of the day, what the research showed is that if a student is able to work with other students that they get along with or that they're friends with, that they enjoy hanging out with and that they can talk to, they are much more willing to actually engage in the activity. If I took a student who wasn't necessarily a great athlete, and I put them in a group to participate in some sort of activity with nobody that they knew, none of their friends, and maybe people that were on a different talent level than them, they're probably not going to do much. But if I take that same student and then I move them to a different group, but they have a friend or two with them, then they will likely engage and have fun together. So that is what the research shows here. If you give students the ability to group with one or more friends or peers that they enjoy doing stuff with, they're going to be more motivated and willing to actually participate. Otherwise, they'll probably just be that person standing in the back with their arms crossed, like, I don't know these people, I don't want to do anything. And I think we can all relate to that. We don't want to feel lonely. We want to get involved with other people. The next theme here is variety. So the research here shows that students respond well when you give them a variety of choices to engage in. If you come in and you have your unit plan and everything is just laid out, we're doing this and this and this, and it doesn't matter if the students like it or not, this is what we have to do. Students don't respond well to that. Students like different choices. And again, as I mentioned before, in PE, you got a lot of students. Particularly at our school, we had like 100 kids in the gym in each class. We got a lot of different type of personalities in there, a lot of different people who like a lot of different things. If you pick an activity that all 100 people are going to do, chances are there's going to be a lot of them that don't like that activity. They're not really going to want to participate. But if you can create a lesson where you include a variety of choices, At our school, we have Variety Fridays. Every Friday, we offer volleyball, basketball, hula hooping, badminton, walking around the track, football outside, things like that. They have so much soccer. They have so many choices that pretty much everybody in that gym can pick at least one thing that they like to do. I know that, due to standards that you have to cover, sometimes that's difficult, but the research shows that kids, if you want to get kids to participate and get involved and be more active, give them some choices. If you've got to cover a cardio endurance unit, give them different types of cardio that they can engage in. If you need to cover a motor functions unit where you're learning to throw and kick or something, give them a couple different options where they can practice that skill. Because if you do that, it's likely that each student will find something that they actually want to engage in, and then they will do so. The next theme here I found is, I titled it, "What Are Others Thinking of Me?" I teach at a middle school, and middle school students care a whole lot about what others think of them. They are all about image. What do I look like? What am I wearing? Do I look good? Am I looking like a fool over here? It's a big deal. And I remember being in middle school and being the same way. You care a lot about what people think in that age group. That is a huge factor in whether kids will participate. So if a person feels like they're not good enough, or maybe they have teammates getting mad at them because they're not, doing particularly well in their eyes, or going back to that level of competence thing, maybe they just feel like they're not competent enough, and they're just not doing well, and they look silly out there, they're gonna be discouraged, and they're not gonna participate. A lot of it goes to what the students have to wear. I realize that some PE classes require students to wear. Yes, most classes will ask the students to dress out. Some classes some schools ask students to have specific PE uniforms. This can actually discourage students to participate. If students are able to wear, you got to wear athletic attire in the gym, sure. But if they have some control over what they wear, like they can choose what kind of shorts, what kind of shoes, what kind of pants, what kind of shirt, as long as it's athletic attire, which is what we do at my school, students are more likely to participate because they can wear something that they're relatively comfortable in. If they feel like they look silly out there and what they're wearing, probably not going to do much. Weight also is an issue here. Students who are overweight tend to participate less in PE because they're afraid of ridicule. They don't want to be the overweight person trying to run a mile. They're afraid of what people will think of them. They don't want to do things that they don't feel competent in. One, because it's not always fun to do something you're not good at, like I previously mentioned, but two, because they're afraid of what others might say or what others might think of them. And that, especially at the middle school level, this is very difficult to approach because, even the best teachers can't, completely, control what, the judgment zone and what other people are thinking about others. It's a difficult topic to address, but it is a huge issue in PE. People don't want to be ridiculed, so they're not going to put themselves out there and do something that might earn them ridicule, whether it's deserved or not. The next theme here is support. Students want to be supported. There's a lot of research that backs up this thought process here. When students feel like their needs are being fulfilled by their teacher or by their parents or by other peers in the classroom, they're more motivated to engage in physical activity. It's saying here that the lack of parental support and the lack of modeling, kind of like that lead by example philosophy, if you don't have parents who are engaging in any physical activity and they don't have any interest in whether you engage in physical activity, you're probably not going to engage in physical activity. You lack that support system right there. Coaches and peers, according to Keegan right here in 2014, were reported to be huge influences in the world of physical activity. If you've got a coach who's making a great connection with you, and they're kind of leading by example, and they just really develop that relationship with the student. They support them, they encourage them. If you have peers that are active and they're kind of encouraging you as well, that is a huge contributor to getting kids to participate in PE as well. Relationships is huge here. Oops, let me go back. Yes, relationships is huge here. I kind of just touched on that, but the relationships between a student and a teacher are massive. I think we could probably all go back and think of a time when we had a class we hated, we didn't want to do anything in. Maybe you didn't have a great relationship with that teacher. And then you could probably think back to a lot of classes that you loved and that you wanted to engage in and participate because you did have a good connection with that teacher. I'm thinking of, I'm not a great math student. I never liked math class, but I had one math teacher in high school that just connected with me and really took the time out of her day to really help me personally to understand things that I wasn't great at understanding. And I actually enjoyed going to that math class, believe it or not. Probably the only math class I ever liked in my life. PE is the same. If you have a teacher who's really connecting with you and just putting forth the effort and encouraging you to engage and doing so in a respectful way, doing so in a meaningful way, the student is going to feel supported. They're going to feel motivated to actually get up and engage in that activity. Teachers that understand the different backgrounds that the students come from and that are able to differentiate instruction towards these students to deliver instruction in a way that really means something to that particular student. It's just like any other classroom. When you differentiate, you connect with the needs of that particular student in order to engage them and help them participate and be successful. If you can do that, students will feel that support system and they will be more likely to participate. The last theme I found was enjoyment. PE is supposed to be fun, right? Throughout my internships and the different classes and the different PE environments that I've been in the years that I've been teaching, I have seen some really fun lessons that students loved, and I've seen some lessons that were not fun that nobody wanted to engage in. And it's simple. If you create a lesson in a fun way that students actually like and enjoy, they're going to be more likely to participate. The research shows this again and again. Pleasure that the student experiences due to the physical activity will motivate them to participate. Having a great interaction with friends and maybe teachers, other people, will help a student participate. I'm reading here from the slide. Students reported that both physical and sedentary activities were influenced by perceived enjoyment. So if students enjoy something, they're going to do it. So try and create a fun environment. Think about what the students want to do and base your lessons off of that. So after examining all this research and what we know about the topic, about the issue of students not participating, I have drawn a few implications here. So first of all, students from different backgrounds are motivated very differently. The research shows this as well. Teachers need to figure out what these students need, what they want, where they're coming from, if they really want to reach that student on a personal level and motivate them to participate. Students want to socialize. I mean, we all do, right? We need that human connection. We need that interaction with others. And being able to do that in PE and share an experience means the world to a lot of these students, and it makes things fun and it makes them want to do those activities. Students want to do things they're good at. Right? Students want to participate in activities that they're good at. So it's important to find out what these students are good at and tailor your lessons towards that information. Students want structure. They want relationships and support from the teachers. They're probably never going to admit that. They might not even realize it themselves, but they want that good relationship with the teacher. And establishing that will help them and encourage them to participate. There was some research that indicated that students that are self-motivated are more likely to participate. They don't rely on other people to get them to do stuff. It's hard to come by an intrinsically motivated person in the world of PE, but you can teach students to motivate themselves. You can work as a teacher, you can work with a student and help them learn to motivate themselves and help them establish routines and help them understand the importance of regular physical activity. And if you can do this, you're more likely to get a lot more participation and enthusiasm from students. And then lastly, the last implication here, students like different things, so give them different options. Don't just set in stone what you're going to do every single day, regardless of what students actually want. I think a teacher needs to be a little bit flexible here and be able to kind of adapt and adjust their lessons accordingly to get as many students active as possible, doing things that they want to do and engage them in fun activities that, you know, they're getting healthy exercise, but they're having so much fun they don't even realize it. That's the key. As far as research-informed solutions go, according to the research here by Leisterer, if I said that correctly, a teacher has to establish an environment where students feel confident in themselves. This is something I struggled with a little bit when I was younger, self-confidence. But I remember having a coach who kind of broke me out of that way of thinking. They encouraged me and motivated me in ways that I had never been encouraged and motivated. And I became much more confident in myself, and I performed better when I felt that way. And I was more enthusiastic towards participating in sports. So teachers need to develop that skill. They need to focus on each individual student and how to boost their self-esteem and their self-confidence in ways where they feel good enough about themselves to participate in any physical activity. That would help solve the problem of incompetence, right? Helping students feel more confidence. Teachers need to cover the standards as well as include activities that their students are good at. If you're going to introduce some, wild activity that nobody's good at, nobody's ever done before, you're probably not going to get a great reaction from the students and maybe not as much participation as you want. According to Lewis here from 2014, the research shows that yes, you have standards to cover, but you can do that in a fun way. Don't be the boring teacher that everybody hates to go to their class because you're not going to do anything fun and you don't want to engage in any of that activity. So include fun activities that the students are good at. So find out what they're good at, maybe do a survey, maybe ask questions, do a little pre-test type assessment to figure out what students feel confident in, what activities they like, and then plan those. Grabow mentions that you should disperse the talent evenly. You want to, if you're grouping different teams that are going to compete with each other or play alongside each other, whatever it may be, don't put all the talent on one team. That one team might have fun because they're dominating, and then everybody else is miserable. It's not fair to them, and they're not going to participate. So make sure when you're grouping in PE and physical activity, disperse the talent and try to group people with peers that they actually want to work with. That's something I kind of pride myself in doing. I remember one of my first PE lessons, I didn't really disperse talent all that evenly, and I kind of just threw people wherever. I didn't really take the time to make good groups. That did not go well. The participation was very low. I learned from that mistake. I came back, like Grabow says here. I made sure to take the time to disperse my talent evenly, learn, who's friends with who, they like to work together, and try to get those people that aren't, the greatest athletes in your class and put them with friends, and they enjoy it. They just want to hang out with their friends and do stuff. And I got so much better results doing that. Brubaker mentions the variety thing as well. Give the students a choice. That's a very simple fix. There are so many different kinds of cardio exercises you can do. You don't have to set your heart on one and make everybody do the one. Give them some options. There are so many different kinds of, invading games where you're invading an opponent's territory, you're trying to take the flag or score the goal or whatever. There's so many different options. Give the students choices. If you're trying to teach motor function skills or whatever, there's so many different ways to do that. Learn the different ways, figure out what students like, and give them the choices so that even, this student doesn't like flag football, but they have the option to play soccer over here. Maybe they like soccer a lot better. It's kind of similar game, but give them those choices. They'll be much more likely to engage. And then lastly, well, actually not lastly, I have some more on the next slide, but research shows here, while it may be difficult, try to create a judgment-free zone. Try to teach students that everybody's different, appreciate those differences. There's no need to look down on anybody. Everybody has different talents. Try to include that in your PE classroom environment. If students are not afraid of what others think, you might get 100% participation after that. So that is key. Getting students to just play, worry about themselves, don't look at others, don't ridicule, and that will be a huge step in the right direction. Two more, and establish a relationship with students. Camp in 2011 did a lot of research on this relationship in all types of learning environment, not just PE. But if you learn what a student likes, you learn what motivates them, and then you actually take steps in that direction to give them what they want, give them what they need while teaching them skills at the same time, you're going to get them to participate. They're going to have a great time. If you can learn each individual skill level and differentiate your instruction towards that person, depending on their skill level, depending on their background, the key here is establishing relationships and differentiating. If you can do that in your classroom, you're going to get great results. And then lastly, now, teachers create fun activities. Condrick mentions this in his research. To find what the students want and cover the standards, giving them activities that they enjoy. Students are having fun. They're going to continue to do it. They'll even forget that they're actually learning something and being physically active. So here are my references here. I feel passionately about this. I enjoy physical activity a lot. I believe strongly in the health benefits that it can bring about. And we live in a country where every day that goes by, we have less and less people doing any exercise. We have a super high percentage compared to the rest of the world of adults and children that get little to no exercise. And I think, kids, most of them are going to go through some sort of physical education in their school years. Getting them to, at a young age, to engage in this physical activity and like it will encourage them to engage in physical activity outside of school, play sports, do different kinds of workouts, whatnot. I think that creating this environment and paying attention to why students don't want to participate and then taking steps to solve those problems, like these solutions here, I think that's going to encourage students to get involved a lot more. We're going to have more participation, and it hopefully can make America a healthier country, and help, bring that high number of sedentary lifestyles, start bringing it down and help people to get more active. I think it can be a huge difference maker in the society that we live in today. So that is my presentation. I appreciate you guys for listening, and hopefully we can all live more healthy and active lifestyles.